Okay, loves, I was done, I thought, but then something came to my attention that's really annoying me, and I couldn't let it go. So I wanted to give a semi-quick example of what I'm talking about when I say pip style decks, be they tarot or oracle, they have a certain reason for the way they are. And I get the feeling that people, I can see how it's harder to learn them, but I also see how it can free people up as well. And I hardly hear anybody except those who are really into pips of tarot um, say anything about the good qualities of not having illustrative pips. So I wanted to give an example of even an illustrative deck that is a little harder to learn, which I did a video on not too long ago, but I'm going to introduce that a little bit too. And I will try to make this short because I have to go play Talisman with the family. So I wanted to get in on this. So one, I just did a video about the Oceanic Tarot, right? I have seen reviews and I was like, okay, so after I get really firm and well with this, because I'm not going to want to use the Oceanic one all year long, I'm going to want to look for something else because I have a really strong feeling that for me, pips are going to make sense way more and be way more comfortable for me as I get more used to it through the Oceanic Tarot. I'm really looking at the Tarot of the Familiars from Lisa Parker. She's an awesome wildlife artist, as well as she's done some great pieces for like witchcraft and things along those nature and fantasy slash, art, animals, that kind of thing. And people are giving these really mixed reviews on her deck because it looks like a lot of them are newbies who have no idea of the history of tarot. And I admit I do not have a full knowledge of the history, but I do know, and something I really did learn way early on in my studies, is that the tarot comes from around the 14th century. It started off as a playing card game, and people noticed that they could use it for patterns and divination, and it took off from there. Now, the original decks had pips on the minor arcana. They were not illustrated full form that we see today on many different tarot decks. They were illustrated majors with illustrated court cards and maybe a slightly illustrated ace card in the pips. But then the rest of them were all almost like looking at a playing card deck. Without pictures or sometimes with pictures. I'm really tempted to get the Dragon Age playing cards because they have some really awesome pictures that I think would work really well for or like a smaller or kind of tarotish pip deck. Anyways, that's another story. This reminded me, I really hate that that deck's getting lower reviews because all these people who are giving it the negative reviews, one of the main points that they're putting up is that it's lazily done because they did not fully illustrate the 2 through 10 cards of the minor cards. This is a partial quote, like a number here. This person put number 2, the artist is very talented, but got lazy with the minor cards. 2 through 10 are just beautiful cups, swords, pentagrams, wands on each card. The aces are nice. The majors are very beautiful, but some do not make sense to me. But that's just me. Okay, so, and then there are some other ones who said, got lazy. I'm like, no, this is not lazy. This is a certain style of tarot. Even when I was not picking these tarot, was not because I thought they were lazy. I knew it was a certain style, and I knew that for me, I didn't start in that style of reading and I had not studied that way. So I knew it would be harder for me to read with. But notice I said I knew it would be harder, that I knew I would have to study in a different way to learn tarot or that style of reading. And so I searched for decks that were in the style I had trained in. I really do not appreciate people giving a negative review on a product if it is from their own deficiency and not the deficiency of the product. And I'm sorry, I know that makes it sound as if I'm saying that I think these people are deficient. No, what I am saying is it is harder to learn that style, so you have chosen not to do it, and you're making a judgment call on something when it is perfectly fine. The style and the people it was made for will love it, and they are giving really great reviews, but it has really reduced from possible 5 stars, it's getting 3.5 out of 5. That kind of sucks. I don't like that really great decks are getting negative reviews, possibly a good percentage based off of, especially on this, it looks like, let's see, 4-star, 3-star, and 1 star. So that's 24%, 19, and 10. Now, I get it if they're damaged. I get it if you don't like the fact that her name's on the back of it. I get those. I totally get it. But if one of your main top 2 reasons is because the pips are not illustrated, come on, folks. That's you being lazy. And I wish people would only review on the parts that were actually a problem. Okay. It isn't the artist being lazy. It's you not learning a slightly harder method. I would like to point out something similar happened with the Wisdom of Avalon Oracle cards by Colette Baron-Reid. This deck is awesome. I love this deck, but I did not read this deck as much in public because usually when I did psychic fairs around the time that this deck came out, there was at least 2 or 3 other readers that would be there too with this deck. And I usually wanted to be one of the ones providing some variety in how people could get their readings done. And so I wouldn't bring this deck out as much if I knew those people were there with this deck. The Wisdom of Avalon is based off of the Arthurian Tales, right? It is a awesome, colorful, gilded, gorgeous deck. It has, I don't even remember. It's 52 and a little more than half is fully illustrated. If you look at about how many that are there. All right, a little more than half, but this portion is not. It is a standard look to it. It has numbers on it that you can work with if you're into numerology, and it has key phrases instead with paths, trail and paths card. These would be the minor arcana of this set. Okay. Now this minor arcana again is key term form. There is nothing wrong with how this deck is made. This deck is made in a style that's supposed to be similar to a pip style. I know there's not numbers set, 1 through 10, blah, 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 in court cards. That's not the point. This is an oracle. It was done to create less busyness and it basically done in almost a pip style way in the sense of having key terms to work with. I mean, I've seen some key term decks out there like, what is it called? I can't remember. All they have are phrases and a little bit of color background that are different. And yet they don't have full illustrations. And I don't see people going off and giving bad reviews to those decks. Why are we being so judgmental over a deck that's using this path look with key terms that can be jumping off points and allowing your intuition to go somewhere? This is a great deck. It reads really well. Like I said, I consider this deck almost like a pip style oracle. I have an animal oracle, which I forgot to bring over here. It is fully illustrated, but it is like a minor set. Okay. Their aces are the elements. So it's the Sacred World Oracle I have. And the aces are like an air, earth, fire, water card. The rest of the cards are like illustrated with animals. Now, if you don't know a lot about animals, and there's no key terms on this, it's just the title in Roman numerals and the name of the animal on there. Now, that is a deck you have to study. You could read it based off of what you know about the animals, but really there's some aspects you need to study that deck. And this makes me bring up the next point I have. And I already did a video on this, so I'm just going to say, like the Mermaid and Myths and Mermaids Oracle of Water, this is a deck you actually have to study to read with. You learn the yes-no system, which works fantastic, by the way. I've been using this I'm an independent contractor on a couple of different psychic websites, and it has been working so well for me. I'm on a system where I have to do a few minute video readings and I need to get it out quick. And I find that the yes-no system works so well. And then I just pull 1 or 2 extra cards or see if the meaning on the card actually matches with the question or the situation that's going on. The advice on the deck is not to actually use the card that you're getting the yes, no answer from for extra meaning on the reading you're doing or the specific question, but to just do it as a yes, no card, and almost like using a pendulum for yes, no, and then just moving on. I find that I could use this if I add in a couple of cards, or even just check in, is this card in line with that, or is it purely just giving me the yes, no? And then I can decide to pull a couple extra cards or pull in the meaning as well. This is working fantastic for me. Yes, I had to take longer to actually study the deck and get used to this deck without having key terms that actually tell me what's going on with the cards and the illustrations. I'm saying, people, you guys, people out there can be so lazy. Sometimes you actually have to study. You don't have to always. There is a point where you need to jump off with your intuition and just go with it and have fun. I find it fun to study. I don't know. I'm a gamer too in some ways. I'm not a hardcore gamer, but I am a gamer. These decks come with awesome, deeply involved. Oh man, where did the book go? I just lose the book. Figures. And you know what? It was very funny to me with that wisdom. This comes with a really great book that's very detailed and awesome to work with. Now, here is the Hidden Realms Oracle that came out after Claudette Baron Reed's Wisdom of Avalon Oracle. And you know what? People loved this deck. You know why? There was none of those path cards. It was all fully illustrated, although I heard people complaining about the frames. But, you know, the way it was made, it's actually gave extra color on the edges. It's really beautiful. The backs are borderless, but not the fronts. They made a different system because evidently they had listened to the people and what they had to say. And that is fine, but I actually had no problem with the fact that the path cards were there. I actually liked that it made me kind of explore the words and the terms a bit more and allowed my intuition to just go wherever it wanted to go, which is another reason why I really second and took another look at the Oceanic Tarot, because I found certain aspects, which I've already talked about in my last live stream. I'm not going to go there again, but yeah, this is going to take me a minute more to like kind of restudy how I do tarot, but I really need some kind of restructuring because I'm having struggles with illustrative tarot decks, unless they have a really oracle bent that I can kind of work with and go outside the box with. So please do not give bad reviews on decks and systems if it's a problem for you based on your style that you need to work with. Don't give a deck a bad review just because it isn't in the style that you work with best. Give a bad review if, you know, okay, so the person's name's on the back. It's non-reversible. You don't like that. Okay, but you know what? Some people don't care if the backs are reversible or not. That's another thing. It depends odd for me. I'm not going to say on that. But the fact that people say that these people were lazy in creating the piece based off of not making it illustrated pips, that's because they don't know the history of tarot. They are newbies, possibly, or they just don't like that style, and so they don't want to encourage people to promote decks like that. But there's a whole lot of people who love pip decks. Pip decks are where it's at. Pip decks were the start of tarot, and we shouldn't be judging an older system based off of the only system you know, which is a newer system that's only been around for 100 years. And these oracles that are following their own systems and maybe not as fully illustrated you look, I just see them as following kind of that kind of pip style deck where it's like you don't need quite as much illustrations to do directions. What about these very simplistic simple symbol ones? I mean, isn't Lenormand kind of based off that, where there's only certain symbols? Yes, I know they're individual symbols. I know it's not quite the same as having a bunch of number cards, blah, blah, blah. But there is some variant of pattern and color and some other things going on in the minors, and even in a deck like this that will make it all work. So please don't judge a deck like that. I mean, it's unnecessary. And what if there are people who really wanted that? They see a bad review, they don't even look at the deck, and then they miss out on something that really could have been wonderful for them, if not for you. I understand that sometimes it doesn't always advertise properly that it is a pip deck, and I think that's something we should be telling publishers. Mark the decks as pips. Mark the decks as, half fully illustrated, partially pip style, or symbolistic. Something. We should have some kind of subgender type stuff going on. Because there's that kind of thing for role-playing games. There's that kind of thing for, all different kinds of things. We should have that kind of thing. Like, I've been trying to find info on non-Marcella pip deck books to read or decks that are out there, but I have to literally go through and watch videos or just go through the views and see if I can see the pictures to see if I would be interested. If it's old world Marcella, I don't want that. Not because I don't think it's beautiful. I would never give it a bad review. It's because it's not the style I'm looking for. And I would never give a bad review on something that is just simply not my style. So yeah, there's my few minute rant there. I wanted to show a couple different examples of how it's not just tarot, but oracles as well. And that I really hope people can start giving reviews honestly from a quality versus just your style, yeah, don't do that. That sucks. That's misleading. And yes, they should improve how they're labeling and showing these decks so we can get a better view on what we're looking at. So, but you know what? If you don't like it, trade it with someone who's looking for that kind of thing. Yeah, I'll let it go at that. I hope you found this interesting. Please give me a thumbs up or thumbs down or comments or whatever. Yeah. I hope this was great. All right. Bye-bye. Thanks.